As the global community is moving towards zero-emission cars, Nigeria is not left behind. At several international engagements, Nigeria has reiterated its commitment to net zero emission, and it plans to do this by replacing petrol with compressed natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas. To deepen domestic usage of natural gas in its various forms, the federal government rolled out the National Gas Expansion Program, which involves the conversion of fuel-powered cars and generators from petrol to gas. The program targeted to deliver at least 1 million vehicle conversions by the end of 2021. The benefits of this conversion are said to be numerous, including being cost-friendly. The federal government has recently intensified efforts for full implementation of the program by making available 50% of the funds required. On this episode of Late Edition, we shall be looking at Nigeria's Natural Gas for Vehicles initiative. I am Ekene Ndulue. Welcome to the program. Jelani Aliyu is an international automotive designer and currently the Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Nigeria. He studied at the College for Creative Studies, Detroit, Michigan, United States, and worked with General Motors in both the United States and Germany. As the Director General CEO of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, he has brought significant developments to the Nigerian automotive sector. He has spearheaded vehicle electrification in Nigeria and enabled the assembly of the first electric vehicle in the country. Under his leadership, the NADDC is developing solar-powered pilot electric vehicle charging stations in Sokoto, Lagos, and Nsukka. Oluwasegun Olajuwon is the Group Chief Executive Officer of THLD Commercials, Autogas Africa, a part of the THLD Group. A very energetic and articulate businessman, he delved into buying and selling of trucks, plants, and machineries within and outside United Kingdom, which culminated into a huge success. He diversified into logistics with special focus on LPG and CNG trucks. He studied accounting and has distinguished himself by winning the award of the Custodian of the Nigerian Dream. Everything about his philosophy is alternative fuel as he preaches the acceptance of autogas in Africa. Glad to have you both on the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, let's kick off. Before now, it used to be all about PMS, but suddenly we're kind of seeing a policy thrust towards the use of gas in Nigeria. What happened? What is behind this sudden thrust towards gas?
Yes, the focus on natural gas and using it to power transportation is a very, very excellent development for Nigeria for a number of reasons. Number one, we have huge reserves of gas. They actually say that Nigeria is more of a gas producing nation than crude oil because we have more of that, the gas. So it is a resource that really needs to be leveraged. So we really have an opportunity to use it to even further propel our economy. And then a second reason is the whole world has understood that industrialization, although very good, has brought about a lot of detrimental impact to the planet in terms of the degradation of the environment because of the pollutants that come out when we burn diesel or petrol. So in 2016, there was a Paris Accord where a number of countries, about 196, agreed to reduce emissions out of primarily vehicles and factories. Then again, towards the end of last year, at COP26, a number of countries got together to again reiterate on their commitment to clean up the environment. Natural gas burns a whole lot cleaner. CNG, LPG, they burn a whole lot cleaner than either petrol or diesel. So it is very instrumental that we use auto gas to begin to clean up and reduce the pollution coming out of our vehicles. So I believe at least these two reasons make it crucial and very important that we adopt and use auto gas as a transition fuel for transportation.
Okay, why I ask is that we've known that Nigeria has always been a gas country, when compared to crude oil. But it's like it came like a sudden hit. Is it because of the trend towards where the global community is heading to, or do we, as a Nigeria, are we going to benefit from this policy change, or is it just to follow the trend, the bandwagon towards zero emission? What is it? What is there for Nigeria?
What is it that is causing this very sudden focus to it?
Yes.
Again, a number of reasons. Number one, I think we have a very committed administration that really understands what is good for the economy and what is good for the average Nigerian. So understanding that we can definitely leverage on a resource to get more revenue to power the economy is crucial. And then again, we have an administration that believes and knows that we have to tune into the global focus for a cleaner planet. So these two things, at least, are the things that have caused this understanding for the urgency to really adopt gas.
All right. Let's talk about the National Gas Expansion Program. How significant is this to the growth of Nigeria's economy?
Well, thank you very much. It's quite significant because, again, the government set up through the Ministry of Petroleum, and most of the stakeholders in the gas industry are members, talk about how gas can be adopted as an alternative. And that's helped since then, about just over a year now. We've been promoting the use of gas, and we've been differentiating what kind of gases are available, LPG, CNG, LNG, regasification, and all of that. So it's helped to identify the immediate gas that we can use now. Because when people say gas, they think it's a cooking gas. It's expensive already. But we have different kind of gas, We have the CNG, the natural gas, which has been compressed. And we have the LNG, which is the liquefied natural gas, which can go all the distance, and we regasify for use. Then the cooking gas that we all have is the butane-propane mix, and we have the pure propane as well. So we've been able to identify all of those gases and explain it to the market structure, whereby people understand, okay, it's not actually that cooking gas, which people say, but it's expensive already. But there are other cheaper gases that can be used and that can be powering those vehicles, either heavy, medium, or light duty vehicles.
Okay, when you talk about cheaper gases, how cheap is this when you compare them to the normal PMS that vehicles run on?
Okay, for instance, CNG is about 125 per SCM. So per SCM means about 1.2 liters of that will cover the same distance as diesel. You understand? So it's quite cheap. The only major problem is the cost of investing in that conversion, which again, if you want a good product, you have to pay good money for a good product. But the gas infrastructure as well, refueling points is also another big problem. We only have quite a few down the south. We have the NIPCO, we have the Power Gas, we have the Auxiliars. So if we should have those stations up north, which we have in Greenville now, they are working on having LNG, but they have LNG only. So they need that LNG regasification, which we are doing for the federal government at the moment, whereby CNG will be regasified to LNG will be regasified to CNG, and that can also serve vehicles, tricycles, and all of that.
All right, DG, 2020 to 2030 is known as Decade of Gas, and Nigeria targets a gas economy by the year 2030. How feasible is this ambition?
I believe it's very feasible because the momentum has started, and we, as a National Automotive Design and Development Council, as you're aware, our core mandate is to help develop the local automotive sector. Not just the production of the vehicles, but to create a comprehensive ecosystem necessary for the success of that industry. So in regards to the National Gas Expansion Program, NADDC is partnering with credible and very renowned stakeholders such as THLD, yes, on a number of fronts. We have built, NADDC has built a number of automotive training centers across the country, and we intend to leverage those platforms to train in the auto gas sector. That is to empower young Nigerians in understanding that technology, how to service, how to convert, how to maintain gas-powered vehicles. We're also working with stakeholders to ensure that we begin to produce those gas conversion kits in the country. Local production of those units that would allow you to take a petrol or diesel-powered vehicle and convert it to gas. A very significant development also is that we have actually enabled our stakeholders to begin to produce gas-powered vehicles right out of the factory. We have a company called Omar Vehicles. It's a division of Kojo Motors out of Innewi. They're already producing gas-powered buses. So a number of things have already started. We believe with more support from credible stakeholders that these targets are achievable.
Okay, are these gas-powered vehicles, are they already in the market?
They are. The Omar vehicle is already on the market, yes.
Okay, the target is to convert at least 1 million cars by the end of 2021. Mm-hmm. Where are we in terms of numbers?
2022.
At the end of 2021.
2021.
That was the target, yes.
Yes. This is a collaborative effort between a number of stakeholders. I wouldn't be able to give you the exact number of vehicles that have been converted as of yet, but it is a program that a number of stakeholders are working on, and I believe that that is one of the initiatives that is very important for the success of the program. But again, it's not just about converting the vehicles. It's about, yes, converting the vehicles, but also producing brand new vehicles that are gas powered. We have a huge population. We have a number of growing cities, and we do acknowledge that there are challenges in public transportation. We believe that leveraging gas-powered buses, minibuses, and taxis would go a long way in enabling the federal government achieve its targets.
Okay, let's talk about conversion of these vehicles. Many believe that for you to convert a vehicle from fuel to gas, that it will have negative effects on the engines, considering the fact that most Nigerians drive old cars. Yeah. How do you do this? Are you putting a new engine, or how does it work?
We're using the same engines. The older engines are the carburetors engines, which are quite old. There's not a lot of them around, but we have components that are matching each and all kinds of engines. So the conversion part of it is major. The issue of it is critical as well. We want to ensure the perfect use of gas as an alternative. So the conversion and the safety part of it is very important. Conversion of it has to be done by professionals, which is very key. It's safe. It's safer than even petrol and diesel engine because of the installation process. But again, if you look at the mindset of Nigerians, gas is dangerous. But again, you will need to understand the safety part of it. Unless you've been told or you've studied it, you would not know. You have that mindset of a layman understanding of its danger. But for instance, the tank is minimum of 10 mm thickness, so that's a no-go area. Whatever happens, the tank will be safe. The gas, we have shut-off valve sensors on the conversions, whereby once there's a detection of gas, it sends gas back into the tank and lock it in. So again, we understand the fear of gas, but coming into the African market, we had to regroup and retreat to understand, okay, the European market understand gas is safe, it's been working for many years. But African market, we need to get that mindset out. In Kenya, for instance, we did one of the conversion, and the taxi driver was not willing to reveal that his car is running on gas because the passengers will see and get scared. So he had to cover it up. So but we had to do that sensitization, awareness, safety measures, and all of that. So it's going to be like a pilot. You must be a pilot before you can fly a plane. You don't have to be a driver. You can just get a car and start driving straight away by learning. But there are process of installation. And that's why we thank NADDC for ensuring that it's only qualified, certified engineers that can actually convert those cars to run on gas.
Okay, DG, what's the role of NADDC in all this conversion process?
Quite a lot. Like I began to mention, we are working with partners such as THLD to train youth in the conversion, maintenance of gas-powered vehicles. And so to that effect, we are leveraging, like I mentioned, on the automotive training centers that we have built, use them as platforms for that type of training. We're also working very closely with companies such as Omar Vehicles to actually produce gas-powered vehicles right from the factory. So you buy this brand new vehicle, it's already gas-powered. We're also looking at strategizing and working with stakeholders to actually produce conversion kits in Nigeria. Not too long ago, we had an event that we held on the sensitization of the general public on the safety of gas. And we produce a guide here that does that. It gives a comprehensive set of information on auto gas, how safe it is. People really shouldn't be afraid of it, how cost effective it is, and general understanding of that technology and that fuel source so that it is adopted for use in Nigeria as a very viable, safe, cost effective alternative fuel. So NADDC is really a very important stakeholders on a number of fronts towards the execution of this national gas expansion program.
Okay, earlier you mentioned training. You know, how does one become a part of this training process? Like for youths out there, can anyone come and participate in the training? How do you select those that join you?
Yes, well, selection would be we work very closely with NATA, and MOMTAN. These are associations of automotive technicians across the country. So we work with them. We will be having a series of different types of training. Some would be for technicians and mechanics that are already in the field that will need additional training to be able to work on gas-powered vehicles. We'll also be looking at youth who aren't technicians or mechanics at all, but need to be empowered to learn a trade to add value to themselves and the economy. So typical to any training center, there are a number of factors that will be considered when someone is taken on. We also will be working with local governments. We'll be working with leaders of communities. We'll be working with administrators so as to really get to the grassroots and identify those who would actually benefit most from such a training. And it's going to be continuous. It's going to be, we will start, and just like anything, when a new technology comes in, you have those that you start with, you continue for decades. As the technology improves, there are new processes, new things about it that need to be taught to those who may already have been in it.
Okay, talking about the conversion of vehicles now, I would like to know how widespread do you have these conversion centers? Is it just here in Abuja, or can people in other states, get to benefit from this program as well?
The number of conversion centers are growing, and we intend to have more of them. Now, the intent here is not to necessarily have them all by government, but to work with credible sectoral experts. Because really, they say government is not in the business of business, but we're here as catalysts to work with companies such as THLD, to work with other stakeholders in the private sector to set up these conversion and maintenance centers, because that's the best way to ensure sustainability. When challenges come up, and we're there to support and iron them out so that the private sector continues to grow stronger in that field.
All right. Okay. Earlier, when you were mentioning the conversion process, I was wondering, for those that run vehicles that run on the CNG, where do they get the gas? Can they just walk into the regular fuel stations and buy, or are there designated places?
No, they have to have obviously gas-powered refueling modules, structures. We have the likes of NIPCO, we have the likes of Power Gas. There are quite a few of them. There's not a lot yet. So, but I think what the government is trying to do is to co-locate auto gas into existing filling stations. And that's one of the things we are doing. We're building one LCNG station in Abuja and one in Kano, which is under the NNPC brand. So these stations, you can just drive in and just buy CNG. And the other advantage about this particular station is they can also collect CNG from these stations to other stations. So unless that station has got that facility to sell CNG or LPG, they will not be able to sell those gases that we talked about.
All right, let's take a break now. The conversation will continue shortly. Do stay with us.
Everybody knows the secret to good cooking is that special ingredient. The mothers know it, but does this new generation know it? Let's find out. Mothers, daughters, are you ready? Yes! Let the cooking begin.
Erisco tomato paste.
Now we get home, now we get love.
Now we get children. We despise the world.
With a meal so great and so healthy.
You know we've got your back. Oh.
With Erisco, Regico, Nagico.
Ladies and gentlemen, food is ready.
Food of love.
Aládùn pẹ̀lú.
Erisco tomato paste.
Hi, na kọ́ṣẹ́ dayẹ́ lílada.
Erisco tomato paste.
Wanu, good food for the body. Yum yum for the body.
Erisco Regico and Nagico tomato paste is made by Erisco Foods Limited, feeding Africans with healthy foods.
Welcome back. This is late edition, and we have been speaking on issues around the Natural Gas for Vehicles initiative. My guests have been Jelani Aliyu. He is the Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, Nigeria. And I also have in the studio Oluwasegun Olajuwon, Chief Executive Officer of THLD Commercials Autogas Africa. All right, DG. Let's continue from where we stopped. When the program, National Autogas Expansion Program, was being launched, there was a lot of talks about it creating job opportunities for Nigerian youths. How is this so? Where are the opportunities?
Yes, so the opportunities lie in, to begin with, the conversion. The vehicles to be converted have to be, that has to be done by trained technicians. So these would be new entrants into the sector. People would be trained on how to convert those vehicles. So a lot of jobs would be created there. Also, those who would train, jobs would be created there. Then when those vehicles are in service, they'll need maintenance and repair. You'll create additional jobs there. And also back to the factories, as factories ramp up to produce more gas-powered vehicles, more jobs would be created there. So it's a whole ecosystem that would be created, just like, take for example, there must have been a time when there were no cars in Nigeria, and then along came cars and there were no mechanics, and all these mechanics that we now know of, all those jobs were created as a result of the petrol-powered vehicle. Now that we move into gas-powered vehicles, because it's a relatively new technology and solution to Nigeria, a whole set of people would have to be trained to be part of that subsector.
Okay, the program was launched, in anticipation of removal of fuel subsidy, so that Nigerians will move from fuel to gas. Now that the removal has been suspended, is this in any way a drawback to the expansion program?
Well, gas itself has a number of advantages that make it a viable alternative fuel. that whether there are subsidies or not, it has advantages that would draw users to it. So we believe those advantages would continue to draw people to use it. And we have so much of it that we really have to do something with it directly to power the transportation solutions, and then generally to really power the economy. So we believe it has the advantages to really make it a viable alternative fuel.
Okay, Oluwasegun, the program is also meant to, encourage more Nigerians to use gas for cooking. Yeah. So looking at the advantages now with the cost of cooking gas, where is the advantage in this?
Yeah, again, like I said earlier, the cooking gas is a combination of propane and butane. People say cooking gas, and there must be a point at which we will define the gases, so it will help with better understanding for the masses. The cooking gas is different, the LPG propane is different, the LPG butane is different. For the cooking gas, percentage of it is being mixed to achieve the cooking gas. One of it, which is propane, the cheaper part of it is what we need for autogas. It powers the engine better. That's for the LPG. Then we also need to look at the compressed natural gas. So this is where a natural gas is being compressed to have the CNG. Then the Greenville, which is the liquefied natural LNG, liquefied natural gas, is LNG. These are not cooking gas. These are different kind of gases which are way cheaper. So
and they can be used for cooking as well.
Well, it depends. More like the reticulation system, not the one you have on the cylinders. There are ways of which you can adopt that for powering and for heating and all of that. But now we're talking about LNG, CNG, and LPG, propane. So the government is supporting the use of CNG, which is the compressed natural gas, which we can get either from compressing natural gas or for regasifying LNG to get LCNG. So these are the gases that are available, that are not the ones that everyone is buying day to day to cook in their homes. And these are the gases that infrastructural development must be encouraged beyond those locations that we have, so that we have it almost everywhere. So I probably must have had the Honorable Minister talking about infrastructure. So there will be more filling stations that can have that capacity. And the 2 LCNG stations we've been awarded by the government through NNPC to build, it's going to give you that succor in terms of gas availability in Kano and in Abuja. So again, surrounding stations, let's say any filling stations in Abuja willing to adopt the CNG sales, can also use a cascade system with a different dispenser. And they have the capacity to sell the gas. So there's a need to understand these gases, or else we're just going to be talking gibberish here and there. So that, once that is clear, then we can understand, okay, yes, there's a way. That's the gas we flare. That's the one that we claim that we're not using, or we're reinjecting into the ground because there's no capacity to process. So it's not the cooking gas, which is the butane propane. And the Nigerian LNG is promised to supply all its production to the local market. Then that also will obviously help with the availability, and that also will crash the price as such, as making it affordable and achievable. So there's quite a lot of metrics in between, which has to be clear to Nigerians. And it's going to be your own job to make and pass those messages across to the masses to understand the different.
All right, when you talked about reticulation of those gases, it brings the issue of infrastructure to mind. With the available infrastructure that we have right now, do you think it is enough to make these gases available for domestic use across Nigeria?
For LPG, well, I think the LPG part of it, we just need more LPG in the market. So they import a lot more. And these guys are not being supported with funds, so they have to go to banks to source for this funding, and the sales have to reflect the cost of purchase and the scarcity of it. So the demand is high, the supply is so little, so that's why the price is high. And again, the global market for gas has gone up a little bit, which we all know. So those are the impacts that has affected the cost of LPG for cooking gas, which is a butane propane mix. So Kwale Carbon does supply locally, but again, they will sell, willing buyer, willing seller, just as you understand. So if they buy the gas, They can choose to sell however they want to sell because no one is checkmating the prices. So again, the supply capacity, the infrastructure is there. People have cylinders in their homes. Those are the manual way of using gas. And reticulation system, the more advanced homes that I've seen around, they have that system whereby the piping system is done to their kitchens, just like water piping. And they have a card system. When the money is finished, your gas will stop. So there's a whole lot of it, which it is possible, it is happening. But again, it's down to the sellers, which they have to decide their prices.
All right, DG, just a few days ago, the Minister of Petroleum mentioned that the federal government will be injecting like 50% of the fund needed to drive this national gas expansion program. You know, what will it do to the implementation of this policy?
Well,
Are the investors, other investors, are they willing to, key in, looking at how we've moved so far since the program has been launched?
yes. Private investors are interested, both local and international. Towards the end of last year, we did meet with a potential South Korean investor who has a strong interest in coming into Nigeria to invest in that sector. So there are very credible, very strong investors that we hope to continue to work with to really expand the potential of this autogas-powered initiative of the federal government.
Okay, I know most Nigerians are not aware of this program, the details actually. For the small investors that wish to put in their money in this gas policy, what opportunities are there for them?
Huge. Like I mentioned earlier, we have begun a sensitization program to make the public aware of the safety advantages and potentials in investing in that subsector. So there's a wide array. It could be as simple as maintenance, although I shouldn't say simple, because really one has to be very highly technically capable to really know because of the safety needed in there. But the potential for investment is all the way from service stations, refueling stations, production of the conversion kits themselves, training, and all the way to the manufacture of gas-powered vehicles themselves. So all the way from small, medium to probably large enterprise. So there's a lot of opportunity.
All right, Mr. Oluwasegun, for those listening to you now that want to bring in their vehicles for conversion, what would be the cost implication of this?
Yeah, we start with the 2 4-strokes, which is the tricycles we have. The prices start from about 70,000 upwards to about 150 for the tricycles. The CNG one are a bit more expensive. For vehicles now, minimum of 4-cylinder, the smallest one start about 250,000, 260,000 per conversion. Then the trucks, which you've seen, the Dangote trucks that have got cylinder at the back, those the price start from about 3.5 million naira to convert those.
So what has been the response from Nigerians so far with regards to?
Yeah, the cost of conversion is a major. Some are willing. We converted Chisco Transport, Effects, and we're planning on Ife Sinachi as well. But these guys need refueling structures. We are only a converting company. The gas sales goes to the gas companies. So one of the setbacks were the refueling points, which are not there. So we are so happy when we have the only room is to talk about infrastructures. So if we have like every 200 kilometers, there's a filling station that is gas facilities available to refuel on LPG or CNG or LNG, it's gonna just happen. It will happen. It's by default. There's a country which I was part of the project. They did artificial increment in the price of PMS just to inject the use of gas. In 7 months, they were able to achieve that because people will drive their cars. And once they cannot afford to buy petrol, they have to look for alternative. and which is why the likes of Poland, that was the reason Poland are one of the most successful adopting country for gas, because the petrol was too expensive for motorists, so they were able to go for gas, and they've had a very good success. One of the brands we promote is Polish brand. Turkey, of every 10 Turkey taxi you see, there's about 8 that is gas powered. And I'm talking about expensive cars here, not the small ones. So the smaller ones, the cheaper ones, the expensive ones, all of these have got matching components that will be suitable to get them to run on any of these gases.
All right, Mr. Jelani, looking at the cost of conversion for these vehicles, how do you think Nigerians will respond to this, or are responding rather? Do you think it can be lower?
The cost of conversion?
Yes.
I believe so. When we have more of those kits produced locally, the cost of the kits themselves will come down. It'll translate into lower conversion prices. And then also, as we have more economies of scale, as those ramp up, also the cost would come down. But because of the comparative lower cost per energy of gas to petrol or diesel, I think the overall cost of ownership of that vehicle that runs on gas would be lower than the other fuels. So that's why sensitization is important for people to understand those advantages.
So what are you doing now in terms of sensitization?
Yes, and that is why I had mentioned that we have already started that. There's a literature here that we have produced, and we're using in that sensitization across the country. We launched it in Abuja, and we expanded across the country to make the general public aware of these advantages and opportunities.
Okay, so in terms of response, one would believe that by now the government should be the first to convert their vehicles. How has the government responded to this? Because once government keys in, a lot of people will follow suit. How has it been?
A number of agencies have already begun to do that. We have converted vehicles that we use at the National Automotive Design and Development Council, and I'm currently in discussion with a major government entity that is looking at converting quite a huge number of vehicles. So that momentum is on the way, and we hope to increase it.
Okay, in terms of numbers, what would be the target for, let's say, year 2022?
Well, the original target has been that 1 million vehicles, which is quite a number of vehicles to convert. We are working with stakeholders and other government agencies to, improve on that and look at how much higher that could be. But I think it's important to understand this is a journey that we have begun, and there's full commitment by the government, federal government, and we'll be working with other state governments to really get that adoption, to get the National Gas Expansion Program reach all grassroots levels. So there's huge opportunity, and I think the more stakeholders we have, the more understanding that it gets from the general public, the faster and more exponential we can convert these vehicles and begin to reap or continue to reap the benefits that it'll offer.
All right, we've been speaking about the cost of this conversion. Let's look at the benefits to the ecosystem. What are the benefits from this? Converting fuel to gas.
Yes. Well, it burns cleaner, so it is much less harmful to the environment. Like I mentioned earlier, industrialization that has taken over the world, the production of all these equipment and products that have made life easier, on the one hand, has really been detrimental to the planet in terms of the increase of global temperatures, which are leading to droughts, famine, and a whole host of negative environmental problems. So that is why nations of the world, especially through the United Nations, agreed to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide emission primarily from vehicles. So auto gas burns much cleaner than either diesel or petrol. So it will release far less particulates, much cleaner, much better for the environment. So through use of gas as a fuel, Nigeria, which signed the Paris Accord in 2016 and which has committed to a net zero target by 2060, will be able to reach those targets much faster by leveraging on auto gas. So we hope that this transition continues very quickly, so that by the time those targets are achieved, there will be no petrol or diesel powered vehicles in Nigeria, but only gas powered vehicles and other renewable energy powered vehicles such as electric.
All right, for Nigeria to achieve that ecosystem that we need, that we desire, a clean environment, there should be other policies to regulate burning of energy. Like we know places like Port Harcourt now, the problem they are having is not coming from the vehicles. It's coming from the illegal refineries. So regulating just the vehicles is not enough. You know, what should be done in other areas, you know, to have an all-encompassing policy that will ensure clean ecosystem?
Yes. Well, we as the NADDC, under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, our focus is automotive. But like you said, also there are other factors that need to be worked on, the general industry, environment. So a number of, I think, different ministries and stakeholders would have to be part of this to ensure that overall the ecosystem is cleaned up. But on our part, we're doing all that we can on the gas front, on the electric front, to make sure that the vehicles used in this nation are as clean as they can be.
Okay, Mr. Oluwasegun, let's talk about what the youths can benefit from this program. You're a young man yourself. How can young Nigerians key in, you know, to get the opportunities that come from these policies?
There's a whole lot of opportunities. I made an illustration in one of my interviews. I said, you saw the computer village we have in Lagos. It's grew to what it is today. Such market for autogas is also anticipated. So in conversion, we just don't have people that do from A to Z of conversion. There are people that deals with the wiring part of it. That's the expertise. There are people that does the calibration part of it, which after we've done all the conversion, they will do the calibration. All they need is a laptop, you know. So people need to now start getting positive use of their laptops. You know, they download the software, they do the calibration, they get trained, you know, and that's what NADDC is working on, to get people either. So we have the capacity of train the trainers. Then we have people that haven't got the knowledge, you know, like the Empower kind of a structure where people will come in and get trained on their capacity and their strength. So there's a whole lot. Then there are people that will do just the servicing. Then some people can just do the marketing, you know. Personally, I sold 2,000 components in Europe as a top executive. We sell and we get commission. So you don't, the youth being part of it shouldn't be fully part of it. Some youths are good in marketing, you know, and they say, oh, I've got this conversion center here. I'm going to bring you 5 guys. 10,000, 5,000 commission on each car goes a long way. And we're talking about a car that will take about 7 hours to convert. So if you're lucky, your customer gets his car converted, or 2. That's you taking home about 15,000 naira. So there's a whole lot of avenue that you can look to achieve good. But is it going to be all the use that is coming to this route? No. There's going to be few. Some is just to dispense, you know. Some is just to dispense and calibrate and service the dispensers. So there's a whole lot of opportunity for youth that we can achieve another coming of computer village, even a bigger one for youth. And then the youth need to make a decision, how quick do I want to make the money, or how patient I am. So I believe that's the way forward. Okay,
so where do you see Nigeria in 2030 in terms of being a gas economy?
Well, God's sparing our lives. It's going to be a success because, you know, we've done these in other countries that we are not from. So luckily, we're Nigerians. I'm Nigerian. We've got that expertise and the capacity to ensure the success of it. And the government are already fully behind it. So we're hoping if there's no any backtrack or retracking in any way, if we continue with this momentum, we will achieve a very good gas nation or gas-based economy by 2030.
Okay, Mr. Jelani, I'll ask you the same question. Where do you see Nigeria in terms of being a gas economy by 2030?
I see a very successful Nigeria by then, in terms of the automobiles on the road or those produced in the country. I see a 50-50 proportion, 50% gas-powered vehicles, 50% electric-powered vehicles in about 10 years, God willing.
In about 10 years. Okay, but with the way things are going now, do you think we'll get there?
I believe so, yes, because right now at our office, there are 3 electric vehicles, and we've asked that a gas-powered vehicle be brought here today. So that shows that 2 years ago, none of this was there, none of this was happening. Now it's happening. We have gas-powered vehicles that have been converted. We have gas-powered vehicles that are being produced. We have electric vehicles that are being produced in Nigeria. We have young Nigerians working on electric vehicles. So a lot has happened and is happening. What we're seeing is an exponential curve. Things are happening faster, faster, and faster. You know, one good thing about young Nigerians, you expose them to new technology, they're quick to adopt it and adapt it, and then you leverage it for the most effective application in Nigeria. So I have a lot of hope that things would continue to improve, that God willing, this country would continue to be on the fast track to being one of the best nations ever, because you know, like I say, Nigerians are waking up and beginning to understand that we are not going to be defined by our problems or challenges. There are problems and challenges across the world, but people acknowledge them, then they work towards coming up with solutions. And I'm beginning to see that happen, especially with young Nigerians. So there's a lot of hope for a magnificent future for this nation.
Okay, our time is fast running, but before we wound up, I'd like you to give us a parting shot on the Nigeria's auto gas policy.
I think he's going to keep it short and brief. Gas is safe, gas is good, gas is cheap, and gas is available. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jelani, your parting shots on the program before we wrap it up.
Yes, I'm very happy to have had this opportunity to talk on the National Gas Expansion Program and to talk on what is being done by government and by the private sector in making this a reality. And I think also that on the big picture, this is another huge opportunity for the nation to leverage gas and really exponentially moving this economy forward.
This is where we wrap it up on the program late edition, and we've been speaking on Nigeria's auto gas policy. I've been speaking with Jelani Aliyu, Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, Nigeria, and also with Oluwasegun Olajuwon, Chief Executive Officer of THLD Commercials Auto Gas Africa. It was nice hosting both of you on the program today. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you.
Very much for having us.
I remain your host, Ekene Ndulwe. Thank you for watching.